What's up, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
I am Pierre.
And I'm Danilee.
And we are the Aristills, and we are so excited to start this new journey with you all.
So excited.
Podcasting is so fun. We actually talked about this for a while, and we've been sitting on this dream, sitting on this concept and this idea for a while. And you know what? It's time. It's time. So we are sitting here in our Pasadena apartment. It's actually a very small apartment. That's actually how we like to live. It's ironically an overcast day here in sunny California, but it's all good. I'm starving right now.
So hungry. We're going to lunch right after we do this.
Yes, we are. And so, hey, seriously, a lot of us are sitting here and we have a lot of time in our schedule throughout the day when we go to the gym, we're in the car, we commute sometimes in the mornings and in the evenings, we're just kind of chilling and we're hanging out. So this is one of those podcasts that I believe you could sit around with your friends, you could sit around with your family members, with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your spouse, coworkers, whatever. And we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about life. And so some of you guys see the title of this and it's called Let's Dig. All right. Why do we say dig? So first of all, let me say what it's not. It is not us digging into like TMZ type of stuff. We're not digging into people's businesses and they live. We're not digging into like stuff that grinds our gears and things that we're just annoyed by. That is not what this is. This is actually good vibes only.
Good vibes only. Good
vibes only. So we won't be talking bad about things, bad about people. We want to grow together. And we believe in order to grow, we got to pull potential out of each other. And that's why we said, let's dig. And why do we say let's dig? Because it's a group effort. I believe, and my wife Danilee believes, that we all are full with potential, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a friend to help you discover that potential and pull it out of you.
Yeah.
So we want you guys to join us in this journey, and we're going to dig together. We all have the words it takes to build each other up. So y'all ready for this?
Let's dig.
Thank you for tuning in to the Let's Dig podcast, where Pierre and Danilee invite you into their personal conversation. Listen to them dig deep to bring you hope, inspiration, and valuable tools to equip your goals. Learn ways to think beyond your current situation and help make steps towards a life you haven't even dreamed of. We all don't have it figured out, but as they dig, you'll dig with them and find some of your own gems along the way. So here are your hosts of Let's Dig, Pierre and Danilee.
When we were talking about this podcast and what we really wanted it to represent, we remembered a story back when we lived in St. Louis, which is, we'll dig into that eventually in one of our podcasts as well. But we were there. It was getting ready for a night service, and one of the singers had actually come up to you, Pierre, they came up to you and mentioned that they were worried about something.
Night service, by the way, it's church service for those of you that are unchurched.
Oh, yeah,
it's a
sorry.
service
like
at
in
a
the
church.
middle of the week at night. And so she had come up to you. She had mentioned she was concerned about something, and you actually sent her to me because of the nature of it.
She came to me because she was like, hey, she's having a baby and potentially
miscarrying. She was pregnant and she was potentially miscarrying.
And for me, I was just like,
this is awkward. Where's my wife?
Very awkward. Danilee.
So she came up to me and she expressed, what had been going on. Basically, she had recently had another miscarriage. She was pregnant a few weeks along at this point, not very far. And she had begun to start bleeding right at this point, right before we went out to service. And we literally had like 5 minutes before service was about to start. And at first I had no idea what to say to this woman. It's almost like those shock factors where you're like, what am I supposed to do? And it just automatically started coming out of me. I started to pray for her, and I told her some things, and I encouraged her. And I said, we're going to go out here, and we're going to sing, and we're going to believe that God is going to bring this baby healthy and whole. And we did. We went out. We sang that night. She went home. We went home. And it was about 8 months later that I ran into her again. I hadn't seen her for that whole time. And she was holding a beautiful baby girl. And I went up to her and I was like, oh my gosh, is this her? And it was the baby that she was pregnant that night. And she looked at me and she said, you said something to me that night. She said, you said this, and she quoted it back to me. And she said, I said that over myself every day while I carried this baby. And for me, it was incredible because, first of all, I actually didn't even remember saying that to her. I couldn't remember what I said to her, but it was just the fact of, God had actually placed those words in my heart to say to her that gave her enough strength to carry that baby and go through that really tough pregnancy. And while we were talking about this podcast, it really was, we have things inside of us that are for other people. We have the right words to say, the right words to encourage other people, to give them strength to go through whatever they're going through. And that's what we really wanted to bring to this podcast, to encourage other people. We're going to talk about so many different things throughout this course, and we have a lot of different topics to talk about. We're going to talk about marriage, and we're going to talk about dating. We're going to talk about being parents and raising creative kids. We're going to talk about sex. I'm a hairstylist. We're going to talk about beauty and how that involves our life. There's just so many things that we want to talk about, but it's really getting down and digging down to the root of what's inside of us and what are we responsible with doing what's inside of us.
Yep. And that's so good. I remember that day when you told that young lady those words and you had to pull it out of you.
Totally.
You had to pull it out because even in that moment, you were shocked by it.
I was just shocked. Yeah.
And you didn't even know what to say. And you sat there and you know what? You got over yourself,
right,
and focused
and
on this other person.
On
you
what to say to her.
And it was because of the words that you said to her, saved this baby.
Which, and to clarify, it wasn't, the power of me by any means. It was the truths and things that God has placed in me and that God gave me. And, that gave that woman that strength.
Yes. And for those of you that are listening to this, and she just mentioned God, we believe in God. We believe in Jesus. He is our Savior, our Lord and Savior. We believe that He did die on a cross for us. And you know what? That's how we live our lives. If you don't believe in Christ, you don't believe in Jesus or God, you know what? We're not going to condemn you. We're not even mad at you. We still want to be your friends. Matter of fact, I'm fine with being close friends with you. Hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on Facebook, DM us, and actually let's go out to LA and let's hang out. I want to share with you guys our story. But I remember that day when that happened, and I think about the stuff that's inside of us, and I think about the natural babies that are in us, and I think about, figuratively speaking, the babies that are inside of us, the dreams, the goals, the visions that we have. And a lot of us are sitting on dreams, we're sitting on ideas and visions, and we're doing nothing with it. And that's the purpose of this podcast, is to dig really deep out of us. I remember a movie that came out, it was A Star Is Born. Mm-hmm. And I remember after she started writing, one or two songs and she started getting some recognition, he came up to her and said, if you don't effing dig really deep down into your effing soul, right?
Yeah,
he was saying that. And I was sitting in the movie. I was like, whoa, man, that was heavy. And I said, you know what? That is so true. If we don't dig really deep down into our soul, we could be missing out on potentially changing the world.
Yeah.
Some of us have ideas and we're doing nothing with it. Even Danilee, recently we were driving in the car. We had a friend with us and she had an opportunity that came to her at her job to become a potential manager. And you know what? She didn't even see that in her yet. In that moment, she was just thinking, I can help out. I can do some stuff at the salon. And I said, Danilee, wrong. You could be the manager there. That's what I said. I said,
you didn't.
You could run that place and bring it back to life. You can restore it. You have what it takes to turn that whole thing around. The thing is, she couldn't see it,
right.
Which that's okay. That's not the problem. But when she's in a healthy environment with people that are digging with her, it's going to open up her eyes to see stuff that she never saw in herself. And here's what was cool too. We was in the car and we was having a really big argument. And a friend was in the car the whole time too.
Yep.
And this friend was partaking. They were saying some stuff. They were putting in like their 2 cents. And that's what we do here. We're a community and we grow together.
Yeah.
You're probably listening to this right now and you're like, man, I'm going through some stuff right now in my relationship. I'm going through some stuff right now as a parent or at work. And I don't know how to get out of it. Listen, we are not experts.
Nope.
We're not experts. We have license in none of this.
I have a license in cosmetology. That's it.
Exactly. I got a driver's license.
Oh yeah, the driver's license. True.
That's the only license I got. I got a driver's license. You know what I mean? And so we're not experts. We just want to help. We want to help. We want to help grow. We want to help change the world one person at a time, And so what's our mission? Our mission is to give hope. Our mission is to inspire and to equip.
Yeah, we really feel like those three things, give hope, inspire, and equip, are really the purpose behind this podcast. We want to give you hope, to encourage you through what we've been through our stories. We know that everything that we've gone through, it's not always just for us. Sometimes it's for someone else. Sometimes it's to encourage someone else of, you can make it through. You're gonna get through. It could change overnight. This happened to us and we had money walk to our door when we couldn't pay our bills. And to this day, we still don't know who did that, So we definitely want to give you hope through our experiences and things that we've walked through. We want to inspire you to live the creative or the most amazing life that you can live, using your talents, using your gifts, using things that you excel in. We want to really inspire you to live that best life, and to open your mind to think differently and outside of the box. And then equip is the last one. We want to give you tools, give you principles and things to live by. We want this podcast to act as an anchor. We anchor our lives in the Bible, in the Word, but this podcast can just give you some foundations to help you make decisions in your life, to help you guide you through your life. And also with digging, I just got to give a disclaimer, y'all. It is not comfortable. These digging podcasts, we're digging through ourselves as we record these podcasts. We are digging through our dreams, through our motives, all kinds of stuff. And it's uncomfortable for us too. So just because we're doing this podcast does not mean that we've dug through everything in our lives and we got it all figured out. I want you guys to know when we're prepping for these podcasts, there are tears involved. There are hard conversations involved between me and Pierre, trying to dig through these things so that we can give you guys something to grow out of as well.
Absolutely. So, man, we're actually really excited about this. We're excited about this. I think of there was this time that we were at Chipotle on a Sunday. We were eating lunch and Danilee had a cup of water and I forgot to grab a cup of water. So I was kind of sipping out of hers. Well, I got a really big throat. So apparently I finished all the water.
It was a small cup to give you the benefit of the doubt, but you did drink it all.
I did drink it all. So, all right, no problem. She hands her cup over to me. She said, "Babe, can you go get me a refill since you drunk it all?" Mm-hmm. That's what she said to me. So I thought nothing of it. I got up, grabbed her cup, and went to go get her a refill because I drunk it all. And as I'm sitting there, or I'm standing there actually at the drinks, I'm getting her more water. And I remember thinking, yep, I'm getting her more water because I drunk it all. And as I'm walking back, I'm like, I wonder if I would have got her water if I didn't drink it all. So I went back to the table. Again, we had some friends there with us because apparently most of our heavy debates, there's always people around.
There's always people around.
And we're not one of those couples to act like everything is all fine. We're going to talk about it right there.
And they're going to watch us fight. And sometimes they squirm because people are not used to seeing like sometimes relationships have such a curtain and people aren't used to seeing it. We don't have no curtain, guys. Y'all are going to see our disagreements, our fights, all that, and working through it.
Absolutely. And you know what? And we're going to include you. I'm going to force you to take a side too.
It's true.
And I'm pretty good at it. I'll get everybody on my side. And so we're sitting there and I came back to the table and I asked Danilee, I said, "Hey, why did you ask me to get a water but say because I drunk it all?" And she was like, "Well, because you drunk it all." And I said, "I get that. But why did you feel like you had to say that last part?" And so I'm not going to tell you guys how this story ended.
To be continued.
It's to be continued. But what we did do is we dug. We decided to dig deep down. Motives, heart, communication. We decided to dig. Our friends was there too. And you'll be surprised at the solution that we came to at the end. But you know what? It grew us closer together.
It did.
The question that I asked her afterwards, I said, you know what, babe? I'm questioning myself, thinking, am I willing to serve you freely with no strings attached?
Yeah.
That's actually one of the titles of our podcast. No strings attached. Why? Because a lot of times we do things for people and we attach something to it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you guys what we resolved later on in another podcast. But that's the type of digging that we do. It's for us to grow better and stronger together. It's for us to get tighter in our relationships. A lot of times we just have coworkers and we say, that's just how they are. Leave them alone. No, I've had a friend where, him and I were enemies one time, and now we're close friends because we figured out how to dig into our habits of communication.
Right.
And we grew close together, and so you're listening to this right now and you're probably thinking, is this podcast for me? Right? This podcast is for whoever wants to be lifted up. This podcast is for the person that's going through a lot of stuff. You're dealing with something and you're trying to figure out solutions. How do I live with my brother? How do I work well with my coworkers? How do I get better at my marriage? How can I be a better parent to my son or to my daughter and they don't speak the same language as me? How do I work better or live better with my spouse or my boyfriend or my girlfriend and we speak two different languages?
Yeah.
Not the language meaning like Spanish or English. I'm talking about different love languages. We're going to share with you guys the things that we've learned, the little things. So this is for whether you're a teenager and you're in your late teens and you don't know what you want to do with your life. This podcast is for you. Whether you're in your 20s and you're trying to figure out now, where do you fit in? Perhaps you're in your 30s and your 40s and you still even haven't found the thing that you're called to do on this earth.
Yeah.
This podcast is for you. We want to push you. We want to charge you. We want to challenge you. We want to encourage you, inspire you, and we want to equip you, give you the tools that you need to change the world. Change the world. And so we're excited to share that. We're going to share with you guys little things that we do, little tricks that we do in life, as far as for health and for fitness. How do we grow together in our relationships? Like, for example, I remember the time Danilee and I grew the furthest apart was when we started doing everything separately. Yeah. She went to the gym on her own time. I went to the gym on my own time. I had my own diet. She had her own diet. Mm-hmm. She was reading her own books. I was reading my own books. We had different parenting skills and we grew apart. Yeah. And so we'll be talking about that type of stuff. And so music, creative stuff, even our beliefs, our values, our morals, how do we live our lives? I'm a minimalist, what are the things that we do? We will not be talking about politics. I'm telling you guys that right now.
No politics.
I could care less about politics. And so I want to share with you guys one last story. Actually, this is a meme that I see. It's gone around for many years. It's a meme. It's a cartoon. And it's two guys that are underground and they're digging. You've probably seen this meme before. They're digging. One guy gives up and he was one dig away from finding the gold. Mm-hmm. The other guy persevered. He kept on pushing and he found the gold. I guarantee you his life changed. Yeah. And that's what this podcast is about. It's to push each other. It's to dig until you find that goal. But when you find that goal, it's not just for you. It's to change the world. It's to change someone else's life. And it's to make a difference. To make a difference. And you know what? I lied. One last story. Because as I'm saying that, just today or last night on Instagram, I found this video an artist posted. And it was a video of some guys. It looked like they were like ROTC training, and there was this big wall. It was an obstacle, and they were running towards it. And by nature, we're all supposed to do the whole every man for himself type of deal. You jump over the wall, you get over, you keep going. But I saw something very unique. It was like an odd number, maybe 5 guys or maybe 7 guys. They all ran to the wall. 2 guys jumped on some other guys' shoulders. Those guys pushed them up. They made it to the top of the wall. The guys at the top of the wall didn't just keep going. They turned around and they reached down and pulled up the other guys that helped them go up. They pulled up those guys while the guy that was under them pushed them up. Yeah. The last guy that was by himself, turns out he was actually the strongest guy. He was the fastest one out of them. Mm-hmm. He was actually more equipped, much more fit than all of them. Right. He ran back about 10, 15 yards. He had a head start and he jetted towards the wall, kicked up, jumped up. 2 guys caught him and brought him over.
That's crazy.
That's cool, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here at Let's Dig. We are digging, we are growing, we are pulling, we are pushing everything that it takes for us to make a difference. So we love you guys. Join us on this journey. Follow us on Facebook at Let's Dig the Podcast. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow me at Pierre Aristill. Follow Danilee at Danilee Aristill. Subscribe to the podcast. Share it with someone that you think they'll be lifted up. Don't just keep it to yourself. And let's keep digging.
Let's dig, y'all.
You've been listening to Let's Dig the Podcast. If you've enjoyed today, be sure to subscribe, rate, and share this episode. Also, Pierre and Danilee would love to hear from you. Find them on all social media platforms at Let's Dig the Podcast. Thanks for digging with us. We'll see you next time.
We stayed